Hey class, welcome to Chapter 6. Chapter 6 is looking at the colonists getting even closer to independence. By the end of this chapter, in fact, America will be free from Great Britain. But we're not quite there yet. We're still a year away from officially declaring independence. The Second Continental Congress is going to meet. If you recall, they met a year ago. They discussed what the British were doing. They wrote the king letters saying, "King, please change some of these taxes." The king did not. In fact, the king made things worse. So they met again. This is the Second Continental Congress, again in Philadelphia, again in Independence Hall. They're going to meet May 10th. And the colonists send letters to the king saying, "King, please preserve our rights as Englishmen. We deserve the same rights as those living in England, and right now you are depriving us of that." So they send the king a letter called the Olive Branch Petition. And this Olive Branch Petition was saying again, "King, we're loyal to you. We don't want war with you." However, things have got to change. John Hancock was the man residing over the Congress, serving as kind of the president of the Congress at this point. And these men were going to debate and discuss for months as to what to do next. Well, they send a letter to the king, the Olive Branch Petition. They also decide, you know what, just in case the king responds in a negative way, let's also create a continental army. And that's going to be created behind the leadership of George Washington, who was nominated by John Adams to be the commander-in-chief of that Continental Army. Well, the king, of course, rejects the Olive Branch Petition and again makes things even worse for the colonists. Britain began to seize American ships, take our goods from ships that were trading in the open seas. And so really war is beginning and preparations are beginning. We begin to see more shots fired. This, by the way, is after Lexington and Concord. We're still saying peace, peace. But the king is rejecting that, and the colonists are getting sick and tired of it. We're going to see some movement for getting ready for going to war. And one of the first spots here is a key fort location at Forts Ticonderoga and Crown Point. If you notice this map here, down in the right-hand corner, you can see where it's located. Right in here, this is Massachusetts right there. So it's just on the border of New York and Vermont. And it's on Lake Champlain. You can see here. Here we see Crown Point and Fort Ticonderoga. Well, some key British forts were located there. Well, Ethan Allen, pictured in the top right, and the Green Mountain Boys had been organized to help defend New Hampshire. And so they actually went in and captured these two key forts. They'd be a key spot because of trade reasons, and also they had some artillery there that they could possibly use. Another key individual that came along was a man named Benedict Arnold, pictured right here. He's going to be famous for some other reasons later on, but he's going to come up from Massachusetts and help out Ethan Allen and help him capture those forts. You see on the left-hand side some of the pictures of the fort back then, and then the bottom left, how it looks today. But Fort Ticonderoga, Crown Point, captured early on by the colonists. As you know, Boston has been the point of main contention in this whole thing. They're the kind of the rebel rousers of the group, causing a lot of problems. Well, if you look on this map here, you can see Bunker Hill and Breeds Hill right in here, and Boston across the water over here. Well, all of this key trading area, key movement of goods, bringing things into the city or not, and being up on a hill right here was going to be a key location for whoever could have it, because if you controlled Breeds Hill and Bunker Hill, you could then shoot and fire down onto ships coming through. And that, of course, would be a huge advantage to whoever had control of that area. Well, the colonists early on found themselves with a lot of success. They got off to a great start, and William Prescott, for example, ordered the Patriots to dig trenches, deep trenches. You can see them pictured in the top left to help prepare for the British attacks. And the Patriots defended this hill on the first 2 British attacks by William Howe. However, by the 3rd attack, the colonists just could not hold the fort anymore, and Great Britain is going to win the Battle of Bunker Hill. But important to note that this victory for the British was really kind of a loss. They took on heavy casualties to the British, and they began to realize that, boy, these colonists are pretty tough. It's going to be a very, very difficult war to win. It was kind of a moral victory for the colonists. And the British made 2 big decisions following this battle. One is they're going to establish a blockade all around Boston. That would prevent any more supplies from reaching Boston. And then secondly, they're going to hire a bunch of soldiers, mercenaries, that we call Hessians. Hessians, and Hessians were German, and the British were going to hire them just to be hired soldiers, but they knew at this point that they were going to need some more help fighting, so they're going to bring in these hired guns to help out. By the way, on the top right here is the monument to the Battle of Bunker Hill, this large obelisk, which we will see multiple times on our trip as it stands high above the city of Boston. Now, Boston, as you know, has been a key location, a key point of contention for the colonists, for the Patriots, and a lot of violence going on there. So how does Boston get freed of British influence? What do they do to free themselves? Well, a very intelligent colonel named Henry Knox, pictured in the bottom right, is a 25-year-old Boston bookseller. Well, he takes this team of oxen, and he takes a crew of men up to Fort Ticonderoga and Crown Point. And he is going to haul 60 tons of artillery back to Boston. 80 team of oxen, 60 tons of artillery. It's going to take them 47 days through the snow, through ice, over mountains. This 47-day journey is going to cover 300 miles. It's an incredibly long journey, but it's going to be so key in helping free Boston of the British. So he's going to place the weapons on Dorchester Heights, which was overlooking Boston on March 1st, 1776. So we're a couple months away now from declaring independence, about 3 months, but we're not there yet. You can see here's the city of Boston right in the middle, and then we have Dorchester Heights, so they'd be able to just bomb down if they needed to from that location. And when the British saw all of these weapons here, they thought, you know what, we got to get out of town. And so they actually began to flee the New England area, headed down to the New York area, and thousands of loyalists were people who were loyal to the king, began to leave as well. And we're getting closer to America, to the colonists declaring independence, and very close to an official start of the war.